What is an observer expected to do? To observe. In matter fact, by the observer's rule, it's an international observation. You can see people came from America and all of that to come and observe. Yes, you don't have any right to intervene in what they're doing. What you just need to do is to serve your report. And I want to tell you that from the observer's report, the development that we have seen in the electoral system in the country, since 2007 till date, is based on observers' reports. Observers can actually discredit an election. Those who came from, people said maybe it was because they were afraid of body bag. Those who came from Europe and all of that, if they had come back to say that that Saturday election was not free and fair, it's a big issue. Do you understand? So, an observer can be that powerful, to say, when their report come out, their report can define the way the elections, went on a particular day. So, for me, the work of the observer is to see and report, submit your report, and also use it as an advocacy tool. That's part of why we are talking about why I'm even sitting here. If we don't have an observer's report that is saying this happened on that election day, that election will go and nobody would even know what happened on election day. So it's for us to then turn around some of the issues that they are raising and turn it to advocacy points that we can begin to hammer on. One of the things that has been coming up from observer's report from 1999 up to date is the need for us to have an electoral offenses tribunal. So that it's not, we are not relying on the regular police. Some people like EFCC, they are around on election day. And that these people are waiting to catch anybody who tries to foment trouble, and they know that they will be prosecuted by this group of people, not the regular police. So they're asking for things like that, so that it's not the police that you think has been compromised by the state that will do it, that it's going to be another set of people and their own is just going to be. I know that in Liberia, they have this magistrate thing that if you have any problem on election day, you can quickly go to the magistrate who will do a summary decision, on the election day. So you can clarify issues that you need to clarify. Maybe your name didn't appear on the list and you need to go and, complain that you have been disenfranchised. The magistrate can ask you questions and then allow you to go and vote or, give a judgment that, you are being disenfranchised and all of that. One of the challenges that we have not come to terms with in this country is how to hold these people accountable for what they have done for us as a country. And I think we need to begin to look at that. How they have destroyed the system of, which would have built system of democracy, in this country. Both of these political parties have contributed so much to it. So much to the number of deaths we record on our road. Number of people who die, without anybody even caring about, what happened to them. Look at infrastructure, look at everything. Look at our educational system, for example. So I think that there is a need for us to be. So that is the kind of political movement I'm talking about. And when I went back to school, is that, in those days, university students, higher education, students in tertiary institutions, colleges of education, they have a great role to play. Because by that time, we were seeing our future in this country. But the truth of the matter is that most of the young people today, they are not seeing their future in this country. So, and if we don't see it, but the question I ask everybody is also that, the truth of the matter is that how many of you will be able to travel abroad? How many? You don't know how many you are? Look at registered voters, 23%. How many countries will take, what is that of 84 million? That's millions. We have millions of people. So, and that's why you better think, if I am not lucky to travel, I better do something to change this country. So I think that's the issue. So the political movement can only be developed by people who believe in the process. If you don't believe in the process, some people I have had the opportunity of going to school abroad on scholarship, and I have the opportunity of either staying or coming back, but I was not going to stay. I was not going to stay. It's not as if I have other of my mates who didn't bother to come back. So the point is that we must get to that level. We must believe in this country, Nigeria. If we hear what we say, let us Let us do a self-reflection. What do you think about this country? When I don't know, me, I've got to the level when people say something, I will just, it's like you're abusing me. We need to get to that level. When they're talking negatively about your country, you feel that they're talking about you. If you don't feel that way, maybe you should go to Togo. So I think that the media has a very strong role to play. Because I was at the National Coalition Center, the one they did in Abuja, and they allowed the media, to be there. You would expect that it should happen. So, but media, we need more independent media. We need media that can actually say the truth, not the ones that will be paid by the government of the day. And because of the online media, I think we have more opportunities to have more of media doing that. Well, I think I've addressed the point you addressed, my sister. I think it's a very valid point. We need, and that's the thing about new political thinking. We need to address the question of political economy. Fela had said it all. It's like confusion, break, bolo, yepa, double wahala for the body and the owner of the. It's for matter. That's where we are. And we need to all address it. The election was cancelled last week, Saturday. You have a right to know. Something is definitely not working within the system. Who knows, maybe they also have the cabals, that are not making things to work. So we need to insist that, they explain to us, because you can see that the carryover of what happened also manifested itself on that Saturday election. And I sincerely hope that March 9th will not have some of this, carryover too. So I agree entirely that we need to hold INEC accountable for a whole lot of things, that happened on election day. The other question is about people clamoring for food, INEC officials and all of that. I know that it's like waiting you carry, kind of. Even in small off-cycle elections, you see, and these are youth corpers. They are the ad hoc staff. They are actually youth corpers. So, and it shows it's also about our value system. Corruption has gotten to a level that we have seen it as a norm. So it's like a social norm, and we at times can't even recognize it. We can't recognize it anymore because we have put it in so much in our system that when it happens, you just think you are doing something normal. Maybe I'm just asking them, oh boy, give me food now. Get me some drinks now. I've been sitting here since morning. People in this area, and I know be nice people. You think you are just joking or doing something, but you are there for a duty where you are not supposed to take anything from anybody because it can be read to mean that you have compromised. So I think that we need to begin to look at some of the things about our value system, what we see as normal and what we see as abnormal. So I think for me, asking for food or whatever on election day by somebody who's expected, to be independent, representing an umpire, I think it's absolutely wrong. The issue of party agents, let me make some clarification. Even if you look at the electoral guidelines, they have rules for observers, they have rules for party agents. And the one you're calling polling agents, you're referring to the party agents. So it's actually recognized, by guidelines. Ordinarily, for each polling unit, you are supposed to have a party agent to a political party. Now, but I noticed that the last election, they also have party observers. So then I was asking one of them, I said, why do you have party agents and you also have party observers? The party observer is to observe whether the party agent is compromised. Yes, because they believe that, I think my sister there are politicians here, we can clarify that. So they now have party agents because they realize that at times, some of the party agents go to the polling unit and they compromise. So they will now bring another layer. That one is not recognized by INEC. So you will see them, they just wear their tag will be red. Maybe INEC code will be green, so they will have red one. So they will have, their tag will also read party observer. So that party observer is observing the polling agents, the party agents. So you can see that it's only bad method. You can't You can't build a new thinking without changing the way you think yourself. I think we have gotten so much interested in music and a lot of things. And I'm telling you, not we. There's a lot of interest in music and all of that. We see all of you just put that in, in your ears from morning till evening. Or testing, chatting, and all of that. We're not doing much of political education. We're not reading books. And people are complaining that people are no longer reading. Now you see, issue of coup plotting, they don't do coup plotting in NDA. It's not a course. It's not a course. They don't go to NDA and teach them how to plot coup. Do you think there is a course like that? No, it's not in their curriculum. But people plot coup outside of NDA. So political education has to be a constant thing with it. And you don't need a Ghanaian to come back from heaven or Fenfana to come to your school to do that. You just need a group of people who think that beyond what we learn in school, let's also begin to learn about leadership. Let's also begin to learn about transformative change. I will say it over and over again. If you have 1% of you out of 83 million people, in another 10 years, not even 1 million of you will be able to travel abroad. So you will be in this country. So until when we start thinking that we really don't have that option, everybody thinks it has the option to travel. When we start thinking that we really don't have that option, maybe that's when we get serious about. So this can happen within the university, but it must be, it's an organized thing. It's an organized thing, and I think we need to start from somewhere. You see, if we keep saying, we cannot do anything. Because I think that's also one of our challenges. We cannot do anything. So, INEC is getting instruction from above. So, should we leave them? So I think that's a campaign that he's talking about. I would rather take the campaign from that angle. You can actually call for INEC head. Do you think it's not possible? If there's a movement to say no, what we saw was a total disappointment. Even if we start by collecting signatures, if we come to the conclusion that INEC boss, you have messed us up, we don't want you there, you think it's not possible? So we don't want to also underrate the capacity of the Nigerian people. It's just for us to just agree and say, this is what we want to do and this is the way we want to go. Now we have two ways to move forward. We have the temporary measure and we have the long-term measure. There are things we cannot do between now and March 9th. So we have to be realistic. Between now and 9th of March, we can engage in voter education. We can help people to know where to. You remember that even the place where you're supposed to thumbprint. They started talking about that, and they ended up confusing people. Whether you should use your index finger, or you use your thumb, or you place it in between. Then I heard somebody say yesterday that you can actually thumbprint on top of the logo. I mean, did you not hear that? Yes. That came out yesterday. That you can actually thumbprint on top of the logo. That came yesterday. So and that's why I'm thinking that one of the things we have to focus on is voter education, so that we have less cancelled votes, and also less rejected votes. And I think every one of us have to participate in that. We can't leave it on the table of INEC alone, or on the table of the political parties. We also need to encourage young people, to step out and vote. It's important, so that they don't end up playing football, on the day of election, so that we have more, young people, that are going to come out to vote. Before now, we had put before them charter of demand and all kind of things which they have signed. It's also a time that we are reflecting on those things and see how we are going to use it on a long-term perspective, on how we're going to use that, to engage them, after election. Now, after the elections, one of the things, I think somebody mentioned that this today, the issue of the Electoral Act. Let me tell you, one of the things that would have worked well if that Electoral Act was passed, it's a direct transmission process. Instead of waiting for a whole day, once the result is ready, they scan it and they send it straight to the center. So the collation would have taken place in one central place, so which will allow which will not allow for the leakages that we have seen throughout the process. So I think that we need to go back to the Electoral Act. After all, the president said, after this election, I can reconsider. So if it's not for him, he's 78 years old or 79, even if it's not for his own purpose, we can begin a canvas, for the Electoral Act, to be signed. So that at least people start training people on what it contains, before the 2023 election. There are issues of internal democracy, which has to be also sorted out, amongst the political parties. But what is much more important after the election is mobilizing Nigerian people to begin to make demands of whosoever came to power. The demand on education, the demand on health, the demand on housing, infrastructure, and a whole lot of things. You remember the Dino case. One of the things that the Dino Melaye's case at the point in time showed to us is that you have the power of recall. So can we then look at between now and 2 or 3 years to come, how many of them can you recall? If we were successful in recalling one person, if that Dino case was successful at that time, it would have sent signal, to a lot of them. So I'm saying that, so we need to reactivate that power, which is the office of the citizens that, we have been canvassing for, that enough is leading. We want to bring this back to the office of the citizens, so that the citizens would also understand that there are roles that we can play in changing the society. I think we are not using our power enough. So we should ensure that we use our power, to change this country. And I think we need that power more than any other time. Or else, you can write it down. We'll come back and talk about these lessons in 2023. So if we don't want to do that, we better begin that transformative change now. Oftentimes, after elections, we all go back to sleep. Then when it's close to election, we start advocating. New parties will start coming up. New ideas. My sister Obi recently was saying that it was 5 months ago that she decided to run. Whereas she has been a key pillar to a lot of movements in the country. So imagine if somebody like Obi or somebody like Showeri, they have started this thing like just after 2015. I'm sure they would have been able to gain more mileage. They won't wait until when they have to start campaigning, moving from one place to another. So I'm saying that the time for transformative change, and I'm not talking about change. There's a difference between transformative change and this kind of change that we have. I'm telling you. So the time for transformative change is now. And there are two processes. There's a process we call the revolutionary process, which is talking about extreme radical change. There is the other process that we like. It's very easy. What do they call it? It's a reformist. Let's reform. Let's change the law. Let's change the institution. It's a palliative way. But it looks like it's a much more convenient one. I just hope that the country will not push us to the extreme one, which is the revolutionary change. If things continue like this, there's no way that option will not be available to the people. Thank you and God bless you.